Hello, friends! Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to Morning Tea with CJ, the show where I browse the web, talk about the latest JavaScript news, and maybe implement something that I find in the latest JavaScript news. I'm running really late today. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but let's do this. So I have a GitHub repo where I post links to all the different things that I find. It's at github.com/codinggarden/morning-t. If you're watching live, throw a message in the chat. I see you have a few people here already. Good morning, everyone. My internet seems to be okay. It did look like it cut out a little bit. I don't know. Let me know if anything's not all right out there. Anyone watching. But let's get started. r/JavaScript. Show off Saturday. I guess I've never seen one of these before. I guess this is specific to r/JavaScript where people can show off their projects. Did you find or create something cool this week in JavaScript? Show us here. I wrote an npm package called BillyGoat. While working on an app using Google Cloud Firestore, I tried to find something similar to Mongoose to help structure the database. Couldn't find anything. Interesting. A lightweight, shallow, client-side schema validation. BillyGoat helps keep track of documents created for non-relational databases such as Google Cloud Firestore and Firebase. Okay. Very interesting. So if you've never worked with Firebase real-time database, it's a database as a service real-time database. And there really is no way to define like a schema. You kind of just throw any sort of object in there to be able to store it. And apparently this allows you to define your schema and store things. I'm guessing it has maybe a validator or something like that. That's pretty cool. Good for that guy. Made this for the with the help of /WDG over at 4chan, a batch image downloader for any thread to be run with Node. Oh, interesting. You throw a 4chan URL in there and it will just download all the images from that thread. Very cool. A Node web service that pulls Docker images, runs commands, and report execution success via webhooks. Okay. TyTef, a tiny test framework. 5 times faster than Mocha, 3 times faster than Jess, and less than 3 kilobytes. CLI, pragmatic approach, pluggable reporters, and much more. Wow. Let's see what it does, what it's about. How does it work? So in your test file, you bring in an assertion. And there's assert.ok. Oh, okay, so assert is the built-in assert, like the core npm module. And you have suites and spec, just like describe and it. Okay, why another testing framework though? Let's look at their website. It's a nice website. Easy migration, exposing the same API as the most popular testing framework, and you can migrate your projects now with no effort. Read more. I wonder if they give you the option to do describe and it instead of yeah, suites can be written using method suite or describe. So like with Mocha, they use the similar words. Interesting. I don't know why we need another testing framework, but this seems interesting enough that I might maybe use it at the end of the stream. I don't know. Let's keep looking. I made a snake game using HTML5 canvas. I'm looking for code reviews here. You can play it here. Press N to start. Okay. Okay. Wait. Oh, there it is. It took a while for the apple to show up. Whoa, apple just disappeared. Oh, am I not supposed to get the... What's the difference between yellow and red? Okay, cool. Cool. Let's look at the code real quick. Lots of variables with all capitals. Apparently this person likes to yell in their code. They're using Canvas. They're drawing a block on the screen. They're clearing a block at a specific location. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Oh no! I closed the browser. Come back. Okay, that's cool. Let's look at some other stuff. The npm blog. Reported malicious module get cookies. Ooh. Early May 2nd, the npm security team received and responded to reports of a package that masqueraded as a cookie parsing library but contained a malicious backdoor. The results of the investigation concluded with 3 packages and 3 versions of a 4th package being unpublished from the npm registry. No packages published to the npm registry use the malicious modules in a way that would have allowed the backdoor to be triggered. Applications not published to the registry that directly require the malicious modules might have been vulnerable, but are out of the scope of our analysis. Okay. So the package is called get cookies. What happened? Upon receiving the report, npm security team started triage. The goal of triage was determining whether the reported package didn't, in fact, contain malicious code. The backdoor worked by parsing the user-supplied HTTP request headers, looking for specifically formatted data that provides 3 different commands to the backdoor. So essentially, if you included this package in your app, it just had this piece of code sitting there that would look at incoming request headers, and if the headers were in a specific format, I believe it would actually execute that code on whatever remote server that this was running on. So it's essentially like a backdoor into whoever decided to use this package, and totally unsuspecting to them, people could control their servers. We can see here that the headers are stringified, and the results search for the values in the format of g command h data I. The control flow codes available were reset the code buffer, execute the code located in the buffer by calling VM run this in context. Interesting. Download counts spiked a few weeks ago for get cookies, express cookies, and HTTP fetch cookies. This seems to correlate when a version of mail parser was published to depend upon HTTP fetch cookie. Wow, so they removed the user that published it. They removed all of the versions that had the dependency on the malicious version. Cool. That's pretty cool though. Like the community initially reported it, and then like 2 hours later, it was unpublished from npm. So that's pretty good response time. But reminds you to always check your npm packages. Don't just install anything. However, I mean, this was like a pretty common package that seemed unassuming enough. Very interesting. Next one, a resource to explain all of the various JavaScript frameworks. Hi, is there a resource that will explain what the various different frameworks are, which applications they shine in, and how they differ from other frameworks? I think I'm using term frameworks correctly here. I've seen React, Express, Angular, Vue, etc., but I have no idea how they all differ. I've done some basic JS and jQuery in the past, so I'm not a complete stranger to JavaScript. I plan to make a web application that interfaces with the database that'll set up on a server computer. Okay, big long answer. Stateofjs.com. Search on YouTube. Yeah, because I mean they're asking for resources, not necessarily for like a direct explanation of what it is, but what is stateofjs.com? The JavaScript world is richer and messier than ever, so we collected data from over 20,000 developers, asking them questions on topics ranging from front-end frameworks and state management to build tools and testing libraries. Cool, let's view the results. Connections. Whoa. So the size of each section corresponds to the number of respondents who have been used each library and would be willing to use again. So people using, I guess, Vue that have used React, like the connection between the two. Super interesting. Like there's a huge connection between ES6 and React. Like people that use ES6 also used React. People that used Vue also used ES6. What's the biggest correlation there? Interesting. Okay. Flavors. Never heard of it, not interested. For the different languages in JavaScript. So ES6, JavaScript, TypeScript, Flow, Elm, ClojureScript, Reason. I've used it before and would use it again for ES6. All the way up there. Very cool. Talking about number of libraries used. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, specifically for front-end frameworks. Okay, so these are the 2017 results for all of the front-end frameworks. React seems to be at the top for I've used it before and would use it again. I've used it before and would not use it again. Angular 1 seems to have the largest area there, so you see like a movement of people going away from Angular 1. And this dark yellow is I've heard of it and would like to learn it. Huge for Vue.js. So like Vue.js really picked up popularity last year, and a lot of people are very interested about what it is and what it does. I've heard of it and I am not interested. It almost seems like, so Ember definitely has like the biggest area here for I've heard of it and not interested, but in second place, Backbone, and then maybe Angular 2. It's my break timer. Take a quick stretch, look away from the screen, take a sip of your tea. Okay, so this site is super interesting. Apparently they surveyed lots of developers, breakdown of front-end tools, back-end tools, and languages. This is on state management. So Redux, GraphQL, Apollo, MobX. I guess Vuex isn't represented here. Maybe it will be next year. Cool. That was a fun detour. Let's read this person's answer real quick, because the person's question was, like, what's the difference between some of the major front-end frameworks? Let's see what they have to say about React. The render method is a method entirely in JavaScript, but is generally described using a JavaScript syntax extensions called JSX, has a synthetic normalized event system for handling older IE versions, and some abstractions for React Native, so it's not as small as it could be. Okay. If you don't like React's forcing everything into JavaScript, Vue components conceptually use a single HTML file as your normal organizing pattern. There's a preferred routing solution and application model, so there's less choose-your-own-adventure application building than React. Okay. Angular focuses on extending HTML with attribute markup language. Good if you like the Angular HTML extension language. I honestly haven't kept track of it since Angular 2, since I think it's overly complicated. I agree. Angular 2 is overly complicated. Ember, the Ruby on Rails of the front-end frameworks. It was actually created by the creator of Ruby on Rails. Cool. Actually, let me keep that open. Yeah, so comment in the chat from Kaizen. Vue.js is going to go from yellow to purple in terms of used it before and would use it again. I think so. It's just like once you start coding in it, everything just works beautifully, and it's fun. Vue.js is fun. Vue.js makes me want to write apps. Cool. I wrote a CLI that adds .getignores to your projects. I've used one before. I'm curious which one this is. A CLI that adds .getignore to your projects. Add getignore. Choose your language or framework, I'm guessing. That's cool, but I literally use a package called getignore that does the same thing. Been using this for a very long time. Published 2 years ago. You just do getignore and then the type of project that you're in. It has like a directory of all the common git ignore files, and I'm pretty sure they're regularly updated. And you can just do git, because I do git ignore node all the time. It'll generate a file. Interesting. Let's look at the comments real quick. So why was this thing upvoted? Well, I mean, maybe they just didn't know about the other one. License bot. Oh, that's cool. Hey, Joe, welcome to the stream. That's pretty cool. There's a Reddit bot that looks for links to GitHub and will tell people if they don't have a license specified in their project. That's pretty cool. You may also find this useful. GitHub, git ignore. Yeah, and so GitHub, I'm pretty sure that other tool that pulls from this repo here, because this is all different types of projects with sample git ignore files. Like, let's look at Node, for example. And there's like ignore log files, ignore builds, ignore your env, ignore node modules should be in there somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, this guy. Well, that's cool. I wanted a utility from the command line where I can just generate on the fly, you know. But I mean, this is the implication I thought of. Like, why don't you just pull from this GitHub repo, because this thing is regularly updated. Yeah, like 4 days ago, people are making changes and like keeping those git ignore files up to date. So if you just pull from this repo, then you're always going to have like the latest git ignore files. Looks good. This is awesome. Yeah, I'm just gonna comment and tell them that I've been doing this for years with this other package by this other person. I've been using this package for a while that does the same thing. This package. There you go. Cool. Let's click a couple more links here on r/JavaScript and then move on to web dev. ClusterWS, build scalable and fast WebSocket application with UWS, maybe like micro WebSocket, I don't know. Similar to Socket.io WebSockets, but takes in account scalability across different servers and cores in node.js. Interesting. Cool. So they have client libraries for Swift, which is like iOS apps, Java for like Android, and JavaScript for the browser. Do they have documentation and a website? Build scalable Node.js WebSocket applications. Installation and configuration. Cool. Easy enough installation on the server. Create a server file. A worker with all of your server logic. Interesting. So this is saying specifying a REST library so that the worker can actually respond to incoming HTTP requests and not just WebSocket requests. Okay. Add SSL. Cool. The pub sub system. So if you're not familiar with sockets, it's basically real-time communication between the client and the server. So the browser or the client, whatever that client may be, it could be a mobile phone, has a persistent connection to the server so that if the server has new information, it can send it directly to the client instead of the client having to make the request. So this is typically used like in real-time systems like chat application, for instance, because you want to see the messages as they come in, so the server sends the client the incoming messages instead of the client requesting those messages. So you can publish a message from the server to any channel. So you specify a channel name and the data you want to send. That's cool. And then if we look at like the client, well, the JavaScript version, pub sub, how do we sub? So we say socket.onConnect, subscribe to a specific channel, and then watch that channel for messages. Okay. Cool. I think this might be fun to do at the end of the stream also. I've used Socket.io quite a bit, so if you haven't heard of WebSockets or try to implement them yourself, Socket.io provides a higher level library that has like cross-browser support and supports older browsers, but they have a client implementation and a backend implementation for Node. They have like a real-time chat. What is your name? CJ. Hello, friends. If there's anybody out there, you can say hello. Yeah, but essentially you can install this in your Node backend and have real-time communication. This is what Feathers.js is using under the hood if you select that as your real-time application protocol. Because there are a few others. I think Primus is another one. Yeah. Cool. I think where this one comes into play is it's talking about scaling across multiple servers because yeah, with otherwise there's really no other way to do it, especially if it's like a real-time communication and you're not storing any of the data in interim. So I think what this thing provides is if you have multiple servers deployed and they're all like socket servers, they can essentially communicate with each other, and so you can scale out to have multiple servers and it still works. So you have a master, and then you have child servers running on different ports, or this could probably be different URLs altogether. Question in the chat from Kaizen: how does that differ from Meteor? From what I understand, it actually renders before getting the info back from the server. I believe Meteor. So Meteor is an isomorphic JavaScript framework, meaning you can write code on the back end that also runs on the front end. But I think they also have things like, is this it? Meteor.com? Yeah. They might also have like server-side rendering implemented, but that's different because the client and server aren't communicating. You're just writing code that can run in both places and do different things depending on where it's running. I believe they also do have real-time communication integrated with it, and that's going to have to use sockets of some kind. Showcase. Do they have probably like a chat app or something like that? Let's look at their... What is Meteor? Meteor is a full-stack JavaScript application for developing modern web and mobile applications. Meteor includes a key set of technologies for building connected client reactive applications. Cool. I thought Meteor supported some sort of like real-time communication, but if it doesn't, that is totally different from sockets, which is communication between client and server real-time. And then there's the other thing, which is you're writing code that can run in both places. It's not necessarily communicating. It's just code that can run in both places and do different things based on where it's running. I think data is based off of MongoDB, yeah. Publications and data loading. Yeah, so they have a REST API. Yeah, maybe they have some sort of plugin that makes it real-time. Cool. Where are we? All right. Let's click this one and then we'll move on to r/webdev. Make your code easier to read with functional programming. Pure functions are easier to read and understand. All the function's dependencies are in its definition and are therefore easier to see. Pure functions also tend to be small and do one thing. They don't use this, a constant source of confusion. Chaining. Chaining is a technique used to simplify code where multiple methods are applied to an object one after another. So do this, then do this, then do this. Notice the callbacks for filter and map as pure functions with intention revealing names. So the imperative style is to create an array, iterate over the tasks, and then push into some other array. Functional style is you have like a function that kind of does the comparison and returns true or false whether or not the comparison is true. And then you have a function that turns the object into a new object. And so you do tasks.filter and then .map. The interesting thing about this, though, so while maybe it's easier to read and it probably, no, I think that's just it. It's easier to read and it is more functional. This is a single iteration that filters and creates the array all in one loop. This is 2 iterations. First you filter, then you map. So this is probably more performant. It's not as pretty, but it's probably more performant. Partial application. Partial application refers to the process of fixing a number of arguments to a function. So let's say we want to factor the following code to a functional, easier to read style. Let's take a quick break. Cool. So yeah, so they in this case they want to create a custom function that is task of type. So my guess is you have some sort of closure function. So you invoke is task of type with the type you want. That gives you back a function that will check for that type. Or I guess maybe you don't even need a closure because you can bind the function before calling it. Let's see. A predicate function is a function that takes one item as input and returns true or false based on whether the item satisfies a condition. So is task of type is what you had before, but now they're binding that function. They're binding the second, the first parameter type to always be NC, and then they're storing this function in a variable called isCreateNewContent. So now, instead of having to invoke that function here with NC, now they can reuse this over and over again, and it has that parameter passed into it. Partial application, interesting. Reduce, this is where you take an array and turn it into a single value. So this is adding up all the total cost of a cart. Cool. This is a cool post. Check it out. I was thinking actually pretty soon I might do a live stream where I talk about map, filter, and reduce and just really break it down. Like we can write map from scratch ourselves. We can write filter from scratch. We can write reduce from scratch. We can write what would a map look like with a for loop, with a for each. Really break it down. I think I'm going to do that soon. Maybe not tomorrow, but map, filter, reduce, coming soon. Actually, I use those quite a bit on code katas, so that's a thing. All right, moving on to r/webdev. I just finished a smarter way to learn JavaScript. Let's check it out. I feel like I achieved so much in the space of a few days. Do any of you guys have recommendations for other books I could read for more programming experience? My recommendation is that you build something. I'm teaching myself web development as well, and I started learning stuff 100 times faster when I stopped following tutorials and reading books and just built shit until I understood what I was doing. Okay? As a JS beginner, I've been wondering the same thing as OP. I'm not familiar with a smarter way to learn JavaScript. Let me look that up real quick. Is it a... Oh, it's a book? It's a book. When was this published? 2013? That's too old. The internet moves way too fast. I would not buy a book that was about JavaScript that was published in 2013. Okay, cool. I've never heard of it. They have a website. Looks like it's not loading. A smarter way to learn.com/JS. Okay, that site is broken. What recommendation do I have for this person? Build things. That's like the first comment that's on there. Just build things. The more you build, the more you learn, the more you apply what you've been learning, the more you figure out holes in your knowledge and can decide what to look at next. Cool. What is the best React course on Udemy? I personally love the courses by Stephen Ryder. I had students in the past that really recommended his specific courses on Udemy when they were trying to learn React. Currently I'm taking React 16, the complete guide, and it's awesome. Yeah, so that's the one by Stephen Ryder. And then Maximilian Schwartzmuller, he has a lot of YouTube videos as well on like Vue and Angular, and he has a React course. Cool. I took Maximilian's course. It was okay. He did a real-world project and explained some extra libraries. Cool. Yeah, check that out. How do companies like Reddit structure their code base? This will be fun. Let's take a look. Ever see spaghetti being cooked at an industrial level? That's funny. There isn't really one answer for this question. However, did you know parts of Reddit are open source? Check out their GitHub account. Yeah, so I mean, you can see some of their larger code bases. Fast deploy to lots of servers, Reddit's Python service framework, event tracker. Curious which parts of Reddit are open source. They also did a presentation that showed part of their architectural evolution. Let's check it out.
Great. So I'll get started. If you've used Reddit before, you've probably seen this a few times.
Reddit by the numbers, major components. It's pretty cool. So they do like an architecture breakdown of like what are their systems and how do they connect and communicate? Where are they hosted? Monolithic Python application. The same code deployed to all servers, but servers used for different tasks. Cool. Cassandra DB. That said R2. I'm curious if like R3 is like microservices or something like that. That is super cool. I love when companies go in depth of like how they actually do things. You can definitely learn a lot. I'll definitely put this link in the show notes. Okay, what else? A Vue-based mockup tool. The generated code is surprisingly nice. Let's check it out. Vue egg. Oh, I saw this. And I think what happens is you can drag components. Look at that. And then it generates actual like Vue components. I'm curious, like, has someone created a plugin for Sketch? Because Sketch, I think, Sketch app. This is like a prototyping tool where you can like drag and drop UI components, but they actually have plugins to turn your mockups into React components. I'm curious if there's one for like Vue.js, because this thing is just totally separate. Let's build a quick app. So we want a div, and inside of there we're going to put some text, and it's going to say hello. Wait. I want to type. Let me type. Okay, never mind. We're going to have an app drawer over there. There we go. Let's get rid of that. We want an app bar. Yeah, there we go. Now it's looking nice. We'll do a list, but this will be like our mailbox items, and we'll make it real big like that. We'll do like several of them. Yeah, or I wonder if you can change the underlying data. See how. Okay, we can throw images. Well, that's an image. Cool, like right there, yes. I don't know. This is cool, but I think the coolest thing is actually generating a Vue app using it. So how do we do that? Preview, open, download. View source files. What is today? May 6th. So I drag and drop these components. Let's see what it actually created for me. Okay, that's some stuff. You've got your index.html, source folder, you got your main.js, Vue MDC. Is that Vue Material Design Components? Got our app, our home view. Okay, this is the thing that we generated. So like we dragged and dropped, and it generated these components. So there's like the drawer on the left-hand side, the list items. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think this is great, probably really great for designers that don't necessarily know how to code Vue.js, so they can like mock things up, generate a basic Vue app, and then give that to a developer to start making it actually work. Cool. Very cool. All right, let's move on lastly to r/programming, and then we'll do something. I'm thinking maybe I'll either write some tests with this library or do something with that sockets thingy. Don't know how easy it might be. What if I made a chat application using that sockets thingy? I don't know. Okay, let's look at this last thing. AI researchers allege that machine learning is alchemy. What do they mean? Ali Rahimi, a researcher in artificial intelligence at Google, took a swipe at his field last December and received a 40-second ovation for it. Speaking at an AI conference, Rami charged that machine learning algorithms in which computers learn through trial and error have become a form of alchemy. Researchers, he said, do not know why some algorithms work and why others don't, nor do they have rigorous criteria for choosing one AI architecture over another. It's really true. Like, if you've seen some of these like learning systems, they basically, it's just trial and error until it figures it out. And then I think like even looking at neural networks is like they get created, but even the programmer doesn't necessarily know what it means, I guess. I don't know. I don't know much about this, but there's an anguish in the field, Rahimi says. Many of us feel like we're operating on an alien technology. Hey, Bob, welcome to the stream. Cool. Let's look at the comments. How about for starters, we stop using the terms artificial intelligence and machine learning to refer to computational statistics. Boom! That's pretty much it. It's like, yeah, like because when you use the term artificially intelligent, it makes it seem as if this thing is making decisions on its own, like it's actually maybe becoming aware or something like that, when it's not even close. It's literally just analyzing data and yeah, just computational statistics. It's like if people said money arboriculture to refer to finance. But and they're saying like even machine learning, because the thing is like the machine isn't learning. It's just a bunch of if-else statements. Like if this is the case, do this. If that's not the case, do this. The term you're looking for is artificial general intelligence. Today, artificial intelligence basically means artificial specialized intelligence, as in it mimics an intelligent systems for a very specific task. Whereas Skynet would be a general artificial intelligence able to abstract tasks to do things it wasn't specifically designed for. Cool. That's cool. Cool. Are interruptions really worse for programmers than for other knowledge workers? Yeah, there's this pretty famous comic. Well, I'll scroll slowly so that you can read it. So. Oh, never mind. So, programmer looking at some code. He's thinking about that code. He's thinking about how that code, like what that code is actually doing. He's thinking about how that code applies to the bigger system and what actually is happening. He's, again, thinking about how that code might actually run. Let's take a quick break. He's thinking back to code commits that actually changed things, wondering why it happened, all this good stuff. And then a guy walks up and says, hey, so I just sent you an email about a thing. And then all of his thought process goes to nothing. And he's back to where he started looking at the code. This is a pretty old comic, yes, from 2013. But it's about the idea of like, when you're sitting down to work on some code and you are thinking pretty hard about it, like, your mind is just like a maze of like how the code is working and how everything is connected. And a simple distraction can take you out of that. This is apparently about, does that apply to other professions as well? Oh, and they're coming up with, I guess, like a solution too. So I'm not denying that you have to keep a lot in your head when programming. A change in one place does have effects on other parts of the system, requiring a fairly complex mental model. But I do think that you can improve your resilience to interruptions if you come up with a solution to a problem before you start writing code, and think about which parts of the system that solution will impact. Divide the solution you came up with into small chunks so you can take one step at a time. This is currently a do as I say, not as I do. I mean, exactly, like, of course, like why wouldn't you do that? But easier said than done, right? I guess that's it. no further analysis. What is this blog post from? I think it's just a couple days ago. Let's look at the comments. I think we can all agree being interrupted when you're doing work, which requires quite a bit of concentration, focus, and awareness of what is happening at all times, can be very distracting. Yeah. Okay. I'm done with that. We're going to click maybe one more link, and then we're going to build something. I think maybe I'll do tests, because I've never done tests on the stream. It would be fun to do the WebSockets thing. It's just I've been streaming close to an hour. I don't know how long it would take me to get set up. Let's see though. Actually, let's just do it. Let's do something. Let me look again at that the WebSocket thingy. want to do this, but I don't want it to take me more than 30 minutes to set up a simple socket server. Let's do it. We're going to build a basic chat application using this framework that I've never heard of. Let's do it right now, right here, right now. Hey, Hakan, welcome to the stream. Okay, so let's go to the wiki documentation. We're going to go to, we are in the server. So let's go to installation and configuration. And let's do it. Roll up your sleeves. Take a sip of your tea. We are going to build a real-time chat application using this thingy. Okay. Let's make a directory. Let's call it chat. And inside of there, we're going to have maybe we'll do the Express will just serve up the front end. We don't have to do two separate apps. So let's initialize this as an npm repo, and then do npm install ClusterWS. I mean, where this sorry, I forgot the I. Where this really comes into play is if you have if you're a large system with more than one backend server. It should still work with just a single server. Cool. So this is our basic server configuration. And let's close that. We're going to create an index.js in the chat that does that. Add a REST library. You may also want to add a library framework to handle REST requests like Express. You can do that like that. Actually, I do want this because I can use the Express static file server so that I can serve out both the client and I can serve up the client files from the same server, I think. Let's see. Oh no. So you install Express, you bring it in, and then inside of your worker, you create an app, and on request, you send it in to the Express server. So let's just use app.use express.static. And that lets you specify a folder to serve up statically. So let's say like public. Let's just see if this works. And in chat, we'll create a new folder, call it public. And inside of there, create like an index.html. And hello world. Okay. So the backend server is set up for sockets, but it also should be serving up the static folder publicly. Let's see. Okay, run the server with node server.js. So I called mine index, so node index.js. It's running. What port is it on by default? It will default on 80. What? Localhost 80. Yeah, that I think is probably broken because you can't listen on port 80 without having like admin privileges. Let's change that. So on the configuration, say port is 9999. Try again. There we go. So master is working on port 9999. If we go to localhost 9999, it's serving up the static files. Good to go. Cool. So we've got a basic server. Let's look at handle sockets. So listen on events from the client. So yeah, so inside of, where's our code? On connection, you get access to the socket inside of here. And you can say socket.on some event. So what we probably want to do is like socket on message. Emit that message to all of the other sockets. Yeah, so socket.send. So the client will send a message to the server. The server will receive that message and then send that message to all other clients listening. I think that's how it works. Let's see what else. The pub sub system. The pub sub system is the only way to communicate between different users which are connected to different machines and/or processes. Publish a message from the server to any channels. Yeah, I mean, this is probably how you would implement like chat rooms, where rooms have specific names, and then you can publish events to only those specific rooms. So depending on what rooms your user in, excuse me. Okay, so that's cool. I mean, I think that's all I need for the server. Let's look at the client-side implementation. That installation and configuration. Import globally. Yeah, so let's see if there is just a CDN link for this so I don't have to download it. ClusterWS. Does not look like it. I may need to actually npm install. You know what I can do is I can npm install it and then do a special command, like when a request comes in, redirect it to the node modules folder. Okay. Yeah. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I could here's I'm gonna have a separate node modules folder in the public folder because these node modules will be for the client. So let's do a separate npm file for the client, and then wait, what do we have? Install this thingy. Okay, and so now the public folder has node modules, has that, has the browser file, and then has this, which we can include on the page. So in our index.html, we can have a script source that will be node modules slash ClusterWS dash client dash JS slash browser slash ClusterWS.js, I think. So now we open the DevTools, we can get that file, which is good. So it's a good sign. Now let's listen for events. So let's create a JavaScript file. So in our public folder, we'll create a client.js. We're gonna do this. We're in the browser, so we shouldn't need to require. That should just be like a global variable. And then this is port 9999, like that. Okay, so we've got a socket. Now let's handle it. So on event message, so when the message event is emitted, we're just going to log the data that we got. Cool. And when the page loads, let's send the message. So when the page loads, like when this JavaScript loads, we're going to send message is hello world. Okay. So if we now open this in two separate windows, when a client connects, we should see hello world log to the console, and we don't. We may need to listen for like socket connected event. So socket on connect is then when we'll listen for it, maybe. Okay. Oh, and Khan says I look sick. I got like 1 hour of sleep last night. Thanks for noticing. Let's see. Do I need to restart the server? Anybody keep track of when I started? Because I really don't want to spend 30 minutes on this thing. That's there. That's there. Let's just look at their docs real quick. Okay, the pub sub system. Well, we're not doing anything. Brooke says late night party. No, just browsing the web up at home. I had contemplated doing the stream with sunglasses on. I think I'll finish the stream with sunglasses on. Yes, this is listening on specific channels. I'm very curious, like, we did the basic thing. What else do we got to do here? Okay, so we have our server. It is just listening on port 9999. When a connection comes in, let's make sure that we're getting the message. Got message on server data. And then here we're trying to send the message. Sending message, ... Okay, let's see if this is even working. Let's kill that. Start it back up. Oh! Anyone there at home realize that I did not include my client.js in my index.html? That would help. Okay. Type array, t.subarray is not a function. That's a good sign though. Okay, hard refresh. What? On message. So in my client.js. Is it because of this? Where's that happening? I'm lost. Okay. This was apparently not as easy as I thought it might be. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be easy. I did think I was going to like spin my wheels and not be able to get this thing to work. Okay, we created the socket. When it's connected, let's just log, we are connected. Just comment that out for now. See if that's even working. No, t.subarray is not a function. Okay. We should have access to, so socket is a thing. Can I do socket.on connect? Cannot read property on or null. So socket is null? What? Channels WebSocket isn't. Okay, I'm gonna spend exactly 2 more minutes on this, and then I'm gonna go. I couldn't get it working. Let's see. Create the socket. Listen for when it's connected, and just say we are connected. Let me try one other thing. So instead of using that, we can use. So that's that. What's the difference between these two? Yeah. I mean, I don't know why using the minified version would work over the other, but let's see. No, t.subarray is not a function. Let's see if there's an issue open for it. There are no issues. Can we just see where t.subarray is being used? I just want to listen for a message, that's all. Pivot to native WebSockets? Yeah! Or I would use like socket.io. I haven't used, is there a, like what library would you use for the backend for it? How long have I been streaming? It's been too long. This was a dud. I'm gonna call it right there. Very soon though. I'll use like socket.io and we'll do it from scratch. I'm very sad that this did not work. My apologies. Let me go ahead and play a sad trombone sound. Cool. It was a fun try, but you know, I mean, I follow the docs. I use the code exactly. If anyone out there can see something that I was doing that I shouldn't have been doing, maybe let me know. Okay. Not going to give up that easy. Let's try this channel notification system rather than just the regular handling of the socket. So let's do this. Okay, so if we go back to the server documentation. Instead of just listening for a specific event, let's do the pub sub thing, or try to. You can publish from any place where you have access to the WebSocket. Cool. And so if we look at pub sub for the client, let's try this. So in our client.js, oh no, I mean it was breaking with socket on connect anyways. Never mind. Okay, but let's just try it. So Define channel. Well, that didn't work. You cannot have a constant variable and then reassign it later on. Come on. Okay, subscribe to chat. We'll call the room chat. And when any message comes in, we'll log that message. And we will publish hello world whenever they get corrected. Unsubscribe for the channel. We don't want to do that. We'll just listen forever. Okay, still t.subarray is not a function. Yeah, called it a dud. Cannot get up that easy. But I think my socket on like this isn't even working. I'm pretty sure I'm running on port 9999. The broker? Like, what's the difference between the broker and the other thing? Let's see what happens if I connect to 94,000. 9400. Oh my goodness. Do I have to connect to the broker and not the main port? If that was it, I'm gonna be so mad. Okay. Because nowhere in the docs did it tell me that. Or maybe it did and I didn't look. Wait. Okay, so then on the server, we need to listen on that channel or publish on that channel. So socket on. How do you listen on a specific channel? So for pub/sub on the server, all the main functionality of pub subsystem. Okay. Okay. Last thing, we're going to try it without pub/sub. Because I should just be able to say, like, let's see what I did before. Yeah, so when it connects, send the message, hello world. I think the thing that I figured out is connecting to the broker instead, like then that doesn't cause an error. And then on the server, okay. Okay, kill it, restart it. Hard refresh it. No, it's still not working. This is so lame. This is so lame. Ah. Last thing, I'm gonna double check the docs where it talks about connecting on the client. Like, did it say connect to the broker port instead? No. It shouldn't. Yeah, I think it didn't work. It just broke, so I don't see anything in the log. Yeah, lame. Lame. Okay, that is all for Coding Garden with CJ. I'm going to push up all these links. I'll push up this broken code because I could not get it to work. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, for watching me fail miserably, but I appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow night is going to be a live stream at 8:20 p.m. Don't know what it's going to be yet. Maybe it's something. Maybe I'll redeem myself. I'll build something with Socket.io or something like that. I do have in mind doing like map filter and reduce, but like a deep dive on those things. Yes. Yes. I'm going to go get some sleep. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you next time. And I will push up all the links so you can click all the stuff that we saw today. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, morning, night, evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm going to get some rest. I'll be so much more ready to go next time. We'll figure it out. See you later.